I, 18F, had been dating Zeke, 19M, for 3 years. We met during my sophomore year when he was a junior. It was at a football game. I was there supporting my friend who was a cheerleader, and Zeke was the star quarterback. He seemed different from the typical popular athlete. He was sweet, opened doors for me, and actually listened when I talked about my interests in art and photography. Our relationship started amazing. Zeke would drive me to school, we'd study together, and he'd come to all my art shows even though he didn't understand much about art. His family welcomed me too. His mom, Rebecca, 45F, always invited me for Sunday dinners and taught me to cook Zeke's favorite meals. His dad, Robert, 47M, is a prominent local businessman who loves talking about how family values made America great. The clothing issues started small, so small I barely noticed at first. 6 months into our relationship, I wore a sundress to a school picnic. Zeke seemed off all day. Later he said he didn't like how other guys were looking at me. I thought it was sweet that he was protective. When he suggested I wear something less revealing next time, I agreed because I wanted to make him happy. Things escalated gradually. He'd make comments about my shorts being too short or my tops being too low cut. If I wore something he didn't approve of, he'd give me his jacket or sweater to cover up. His mom, Rebecca, would praise him for taking care of my modesty and tell me how lucky I was to have such a caring boyfriend. Zeke's sister, Amy, 22F, used to live at home but moved across the country for college 3 years ago. She visits maybe once a year and always seems tense around their parents. I remember one Christmas dinner where she showed up in a dress that Rebecca deemed inappropriate. There was a huge fight, and Amy left early. Zeke sided with his parents and said Amy was being disrespectful. My best friend Lisa, 18F, noticed the control issues before I did. She pointed out how I stopped wearing my favorite clothes and started dressing more conservatively. I brushed her off, saying I just matured and my style changed naturally. But Lisa kept bringing up more examples, how I always text Zeke pictures of my outfits before going anywhere without him, how I pack different clothes when visiting my cousins because Zeke won't see me anyway. Last week was my 18th birthday. Zeke had an away game in another state, so I planned a small party at my house. Lisa helped me get ready and convinced me to wear this black dress I bought months ago but never had the courage to wear. It wasn't even that revealing, it hit just above my knees and had thin straps. But it was fitted and made me feel beautiful for the first time in ages. The party was small, just 15 friends including a few guys from our friend group who I've known since middle school. We played board games, had cake, and just hung out in my backyard. Lisa took some pictures and posted them on her Instagram story. Looking back, I knew deep down Zeke might see them, but part of me wanted to feel normal for once. About an hour into the party, Zeke called. He started casual, asking about the party and my birthday wishes. Then his voice changed. He brought up the dress, saying he saw it on Lisa's story. I tried explaining it wasn't that short, but he cut me off. He said I knew exactly how he felt about dresses like that and suggested I should put on a jacket. That's when something in me snapped. I told him the world doesn't revolve around him and it's just a dress. He shot back saying I looked like a stripper and was probably enjoying all the attention from other guys. In 3 years, he'd never spoken to me like that. The argument was brief because I wanted to get back to my friends and he had team commitments, but his words kept echoing in my head. 2 things are really bothering me. First, I purposely chose to wear this dress when Zeke was away because I knew he wouldn't approve. Was that deceptive of me? Second, Zeke later found out through someone's social media that there were guys at the party. He hadn't known that before and it made him even angrier. Yesterday, Rebecca called me. She said I should be more considerate of Zeke's feelings and that proper girls don't wear revealing clothes around other men when they're in a relationship. She brought up Amy as an example of what happens when girls don't respect family values, alone and struggling in a big city, although Amy actually has a successful career in tech. Zeke's coming back tomorrow and we've barely spoken except for occasional cold texts. My friends are divided. Lisa and a few others think this controlling behavior is a huge red flag and will only get worse. They pointed out how I've changed over the years, becoming quieter and always checking with Zeke before making any decisions. But some friends think I should have respected Zeke's wishes since I knew how he felt. They say relationships require compromise and if this is his only flaw, I should work with it. My parents noticed the changes in my wardrobe too, but they never said anything because Zeke is otherwise respectful and comes from a good family. I keep looking at that dress hanging in my closet. For one night, I felt like myself again, the girl who used to confidently wear what she wanted before every clothing choice became a source of anxiety. But now I'm wondering if I'm the asshole for deliberately wearing something I knew Zeke wouldn't approve of just because he wasn't around to see it. Am I wrong for wanting to dress how I want? Should I have been more considerate of his feelings since I know how he feels about certain clothes? I honestly don't know anymore. Update 1: Things got much worse after Zeke returned from his game. For the first 3 days, he barely spoke to me at school. He'd walk past my locker without stopping, something he'd never done before. When I tried sitting with him at lunch, he made excuses about needing to discuss game strategies with his teammates. The tension finally broke last Friday. I was at his house for our usual movie night, though it didn't feel usual at all. His mom kept making pointed comments about modesty and respect, while his dad talked about how girls these days have lost their moral compass. I tried to focus on the movie, but Zeke kept checking his phone and sighing loudly. During a bathroom break, I came back to find Zeke going through my phone. Before I could say anything, he turned the screen towards me. It showed pictures from my birthday party that Lisa had sent me. He started obsessing over one photo where I was standing next to Tom, 19M, my friend since middle school. In the picture, Tom and I were just standing with a group, but Zeke zoomed in on how Tom's arm was suspiciously close to my waist. It wasn't even touching me. Zeke began bringing up ancient history, like how Tom had a crush on me in 9th grade before I even knew Zeke existed. He conveniently ignored the fact that Tom has been happily dating Emma, 18F, for the past 2 years. The whole thing was absurd. Tom and Emma are one of those disgustingly cute couples who post monthly anniversary updates on Instagram. The situation exploded when Zeke kept scrolling and found messages between Tom and me from 8th grade. Just normal 13-year-old stuff about homework and middle school drama, but Zeke completely lost it. He threw my phone across the room, screaming about how I'd been lying to him our entire relationship. The phone hit their family photo wall, knocking down a frame. His mom Rebecca rushed in, but instead of being concerned about Zeke's behavior, she started lecturing me. She brought up the dress incident again, saying this was exactly what she worried would happen. She talked about how she'd tried so hard to guide me toward being a proper girlfriend, but I was determined to humiliate her son. All while my phone lay there with a cracked screen, and Zeke stood breathing heavily like he might throw something else. I grabbed my phone and left in tears. Zeke's sister Amy called me later that night. Apparently, Rebecca had called her complaining about how I was corrupting Zeke. Amy told me something I never knew: she moved across the country not just for college, but to escape their controlling behavior. Their dad used to check her phone every night and had a tracker app installed. If she wore anything they deemed inappropriate, they'd ground her and threaten to pull her college fund. The next day, Zeke started love-bombing me with texts. He apologized for throwing my phone but said he'd only acted that way because he loves me so much. He sent me links to phone repair shops, offering to pay for the damage. But mixed in with the apologies were demands. He wants me to cut contact with Tom and any other male friends to prove my commitment to our relationship. His dad Robert called my parents for a family meeting to discuss the situation. He spoke about how Zeke and I have been together for so long, how we shouldn't throw away 3 years over a small disagreement about appropriate boundaries. My mom seemed swayed by his arguments about young love and how all couples face challenges. But my dad, who's usually quiet about my relationship, looked worried the whole time. Lisa showed me more messages from Amy later. Apparently, Zeke used to defend Amy when their parents were too controlling, but he gradually started adopting their behavior. Amy said he went from being her protective little brother to another person policing her life. She warned that Zeke is turning into their dad, starting with controlling clothes, then friends, then every aspect of life. Zeke keeps switching between apologizing and making demands. Yesterday, he left the teddy bear and roses in my car with a note saying he'll change, but this morning he sent a text listing all the guy friends he wants me to block. He's also demanding access to my social media accounts to rebuild trust. His mom has been texting my mom articles about how couples should share everything in relationships and how privacy breeds secrecy. She even suggested I change my college plans to follow Zeke to his college next year, saying long-distance relationships lead to temptation. I haven't officially ended things yet. Part of me remembers the sweet guy who used to bring me soup when I was sick and wrote me poems on our anniversaries. But when I look at my cracked phone screen or think about his hands throwing it, I feel scared. Not just of his anger, but of becoming the quiet, controlled person he and his family want me to be. Lisa and my other close friends are practically begging me to end it. They say they miss the old me, the one who laughed loudly and didn't check her phone every 5 minutes to report her location. Even Tom and Emma, who used to double date with us, say they've been worried about Zeke's behavior for months but didn't know how to bring it up. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I know I can't keep living like this, walking on eggshells and second-guessing every decision. The dress incident was just the trigger that exposed much deeper issues. Update 2: I discovered something that turned my whole world upside down. After my last update, I was still trying to process Zeke's controlling behavior when Emma, Tom's girlfriend, reached out to me. She was crying on the phone, saying she had something important to show me. We met at a local coffee shop and she showed me her phone. She had screenshots of conversations between Zeke and a girl named Rachel, 18F, from his team's cheerleading squad. The messages went back months, all during his away games. At first, I couldn't believe what I was reading. There were pictures of them together at parties, messages about their hookups, and worst of all, conversations about me. Zeke complained to Rachel about how I dressed too conservatively and how it embarrasses him in front of his teammates. He called me his prude girlfriend and joked about how he had me wrapped around his finger. There were messages where he bragged about making me change clothes or cancel plans with friends. Rachel would laugh along, sending him selfies and revealing outfits and calling me pathetic. The hypocrisy hit me hard. All those times he shamed me about my clothes, made me feel guilty about talking to male friends. He was pursuing someone who dressed exactly how he told me not to. There were even messages from the night of my birthday party. While he was calling me a stripper for wearing a knee-length dress, he was sending flirty texts to Rachel about her cheerleading uniform. I confronted Zeke with the screenshots. His reaction was even worse than I expected. Instead of denying it or apologizing, he tried to blame me. He said if I had been more fun and understanding of his needs, he wouldn't have had to look elsewhere. When I brought up his double standards about clothing, he said it was different because Rachel knows how to dress sexy without looking cheap. His mom Rebecca somehow got involved again. She showed up at my house uninvited, defending Zeke's behavior. She actually said that boys will be boys and I should have tried harder to keep him interested. She suggested that if I had listened to her advice about dressing more modestly in public but differently in private for Zeke, he wouldn't have strayed. I couldn't take it anymore. Lisa and I drove to his college campus to get the full story. We found Rachel at cheerleading practice. When she saw us, she broke down crying. Turns out Zeke told her we broke up months ago. He fed her stories about how I was his controlling ex who wouldn't let him move on. She had no idea we were still together. Rachel showed us more messages where Zeke detailed his manipulation tactics. He admitted the controlling behavior was an act to keep me insecure while he did whatever he wanted. He told Rachel he learned it from watching his dad control his mom and sister. There were messages where he bragged about making me think I was crazy for suspecting him of lying. The final straw was finding out he used the same manipulation on Rachel. He would critique her outfits too, but in reverse, saying she should show more skin, wear tighter clothes. He had both of us trapped in different versions of his control games. Emma told me she found out because Rachel started dating one of her cousins after thinking Zeke was single. They pieced the story together during a family gathering. Both girls came forward on social media about Zeke's manipulation, and more girls started sharing similar stories. Zeke's sister Amy called me again after seeing the social media posts. She wasn't surprised. Apparently, their dad did the same thing to their mom years ago, and their mom chose to stay and accept it as normal male behavior. Amy thinks Zeke learned early that he could control women by playing with their insecurities. I feel stupid for not seeing it sooner, for letting him make me doubt myself for so long. But mostly, I'm angry. Angry that while I was agonizing over his feelings and trying to be a good girlfriend, he was turning my insecurities into a game. Every time he made me change clothes or delete a social media post, he was laughing about it with Rachel. His family is still trying to minimize the situation. His dad called it a youthful indiscretion, and his mom keeps saying all couples have problems like this. They're more worried about the social media scandal affecting Zeke's sports career than about what he did to me and Rachel. For now, I'm trying to process everything. Rachel and I have actually talked a lot, sharing stories and realizing how similar his tactics were with both of us. She's been helping me see that none of this was my fault. We were both just pawns in his control game. Update 3: I'm writing this final update because a lot has happened, and I want to give closure to everyone who supported me. After everything came out about Zeke and Rachel, things got complicated in ways I never expected. Zeke's sister Amy has become an unexpected source of support. She flew back home when everything blew up and has been helping me process everything. She shared more stories about their family dynamic, how their dad would track their mom's car, check her receipts, and control her friend circle. Amy said watching me go through the same pattern with Zeke was like seeing history repeat itself. Zeke didn't take the breakup well. He started showing up at my house every morning before school. When my parents threatened to call the police, he switched to sending his friends to talk sense into me. His mom Rebecca tried different tactics, first guilt-tripping, then threats about how I was ruining Zeke's future sports career with these false allegations. Things got worse at college. Zeke started spreading rumors that I had been cheating on him with Tom all along. Some people actually believed him, especially his teammates. But then something unexpected happened. Rachel and Emma both stood up for me. They shared screenshots of Zeke's messages in our college's social media groups. Other girls started coming forward with similar stories about Zeke's controlling behavior. His mom still messages me from different numbers since I blocked her. Last week, she sent a long text about how Zeke is in therapy, though Amy confirmed this isn't true, and how I should give him another chance. She blamed me for pushing him into therapy, saying her son was perfect before I corrupted him with my modern feminist ideas. The black dress that started all this drama? I wore it to a college party last week. It felt liberating. Rachel was there too, and we took pictures together. When Zeke's mom somehow saw them on social media, she had a meltdown about how we were trying to ruin her family's reputation. Amy is planning to go completely no contact with her family after seeing how they handled everything. She suggested I do the same. I blocked Zeke, his parents, and his flying monkeys on everything. Some mutual friends try to play peacemaker, saying I should forgive Zeke because guys mature slower and he's really hurting. I blocked them too. Tom and Emma are still amazing friends. Tom apologized for not speaking up sooner about Zeke's behavior, but honestly, I probably wouldn't have listened back then. Rachel and I have actually become friends. We're both in a support group with other girls who've dealt with controlling relationships. The most surprising development was my dad. He finally told me that he never liked Zeke but stayed quiet because he was afraid of pushing me away by criticizing him. He's been extra supportive lately, even helped me file a restraining order when Zeke wouldn't stop showing up. I'm focusing on college now and rediscovering who I am without Zeke's influence. I'm wearing what I want, hanging out with who I want, and slowly learning to trust my judgment again. Lisa says I laugh more now, and I've started doing photography again, something I gave up because Zeke said it took too much time away from him. Sometimes I still get angry thinking about those 3 years, but mostly I'm grateful I got out before things got worse. Amy tells me their mom is still with their dad after 25 years of the same controlling behavior. That could have been my future. To everyone who told me to run in my first post, thank you. You saw what I couldn't see then. I'm not just free of Zeke, I'm free of constantly doubting myself. And that's worth more than any relationship.